What's up, y'all? Toya here, and I am back with another video for y'all. Before we get into the video, make sure you guys leave a like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Alright, y'all, so today we're going to talk catering apps, and we are going to talk specifically about the big three that people like to call them, probably the more popular catering apps out of the bunch, and we're going to do a comparison. And we're going to discuss if one is better than the other. So those apps that we're going to discuss today, we're going to be talking Expedite, the app formerly known as Delivered. We have DeliverThat, and we have Zifty. So there are going to be three things that we're going to touch on. We're going to talk app functionality, order availability, and everyone's favorite, the pay. So let's go ahead and get into this comparison, and let's start with app functionality. So what I'm going to do is record my screen, and we're going to go into each app to show how the app flows. So when you open up the Expedite app, the first thing you are going to see is this screen. You have a map and you have two tabs below. So you have your offered tab, which is going to be the orders that you're offered, and the accepted tab, which is going to be orders that you have accepted. So self-explanatory. Now over here on the left hand side, you have some additional options. So you can go and view your earnings. If you wanted to go back, see how much you've made, you can choose what day you want to view. You can also view your stats, so see how you're doing. So surprisingly, I only have one emerald. I actually thought I had more, but yeah, my on-time delivery, I'm not really sure what's going on with that. But yeah, I'm still able to get some pretty good orders even with having one emerald. And if you are not familiar with the emerald program, your emerald status or anything like that, I do have a video where I discussed it in detail. So if you wanted to go ahead and check that video out, you can. So this is where you're going to view your stats, see how you're doing. We're going to skip over the driver portal because I want to come back to that. And then you have your open order board. So on the Expedite app, a majority of the orders are going to be sent directly to you. So going back to that first screen, that's where you're going to see any orders that are sent to you. But if there are orders that have yet to have been picked up, or if they were dropped, whatever, you can view them here on this open order board. So you can view all the details and see if it's something that's worth taking. Majority of the time, these orders are going to be on the lower side. As you can see here, a lot of these are actually, they're 30 and up. I think I saw one that was 40 before it disappeared. But yeah, you're probably not going to see the big payouts here, because if they do go to this board, they're probably going to go pretty quick. Now you have your missed reclaim orders. So say you were sent an order and you were away from your phone, you missed it, you can go here and you can go ahead and view that order. Now the other options, self-explanatory. You got your tutorials, contact support, privacy policy, all that. Now to go to the driver portal. The driver portal is where you're going to have some additional information. So you have your announcement board, resource videos, FAQs, all that. And this is actually a feature that I love that Expedite introduced. So you can select your preferred delivery area. So as you can see, this is my market. This whole green border here, this is my market. This is where I can receive orders, right? But I prefer to get orders in the south suburbs of the Chicago area. It's more convenient for me. So as you can see, downtown is an extremely hot area. And unfortunately for me, I just don't do downtown deliveries if I can help it. And especially if they're going to be on the lower side of the payouts, they just don't make sense to me. I'm not going to drive 20 miles one way for a $20, $30 order. It doesn't make sense to me, right? But one thing that I do like that they included here, you have this deliver outside area section. So if there is an order that is available that is above a certain threshold for the pay, they will still send it to you. So my highest payouts that I've actually gotten on this app actually came outside of my preferred zone. My highest payout, I think, was like 160 something, and that actually was downtown. So if the money is right, I think most people, they will be willing to travel outside of their preferred area. So this is where you can go ahead and adjust that. And that's pretty much it for Expedite. Now moving on to DeliverThat. DeliverThat's app is not as complicated as Expedite. And I don't even want to say complicated. It's just there aren't as many options in here, okay? So when you first open up the app, the first thing you're going to see is the jobs tab. So that's anything that has been assigned to you. You can see those here. After that, you have the offers tab. So these are going to be all the orders that are available to be picked up. As you can see, we have ourselves a decent amount of orders here that are available. Some of them are good, some of them are not. It just kind of depends on what your preferences are, right? So if you wanted to go ahead and see any of these orders, you know, you can just click into them, see the details, and if it's something that you like, you can go ahead and accept. Keep in mind, a majority of DeliverThat's orders are going to be the first come first serve. They do have exclusive orders that they will send to you, but it's not going to be at the frequency as Expedite. Expedite pretty much is exclusive, and then open order board is secondary. The only other thing they have on this app is your history. You can go back and see what you've done for the week, 2 weeks, month, 6 months. As you see, I don't really do too many DeliverThat orders. And then you have your settings. That's it. So there really isn't a lot to the DeliverThat app. There's no metrics that you can check, so you don't know how you're doing. So we'll talk about hidden metrics in a little bit, but yeah, that's pretty much everything that you have in their app. Now, the Zifty app is technically not called Zifty. Their app is called Threads. So you'll get the correct link and everything once you're onboarded. But when you open up the app, typically this is the screen that you're going to see. If you do have any orders that are assigned to you, they will be listed here. If there are any available deliveries for you to pick up, those will be listed here as well. This screen does automatically refresh every 60 seconds, but if you wanted to go and manually refresh it, you can do that. Now, if you go over here to the upper left-hand corner, you have a couple of other options here. You have your profile, so you can go ahead and update your information, driver's license, vehicle information, banking information, all of that. This is also where you go and update your equipment. So this is going to be key, and I'll explain that shortly, but you can go ahead and take your pictures of your bags and your delivery cart. You have your earnings, you have your claim task, and your rating and teams. So they have metrics per se, but they aren't divided into like on time and this and that. You can't see that visibly. You can just see what your driver rating is. So I have 5 stars, whoop-de-doo. But I can't tell if there's anything that I'm doing good at or bad at yet. So the other thing here, you have your teams. So this is going to determine what orders you qualify for. So if you want to call it their tier program, that's essentially what it is. So you have the basic of the basic. You just need to have a standard rating. You need to have insulated bags. Then you have the Cater Nation. You need to have a higher rating in insulated bags and a foldable cart. And then you have Relish and VIP. Same thing, ratings, insulated bags, foldable cart, and you just need to complete a certain number of deliveries. That's pretty much it with Zifty, and then you have a couple of other options, settings, bug reports, all of that. But that's pretty much it for Zifty. Overall, I would say that all 3 of the apps, they are pretty simple. Some apps are simpler than others, but that's pretty much how you navigate through the apps. So let's talk order availability. Now, there are a couple things that are important when it comes to order availability. Your location, so where you are, what market you're in, the proximity you are to a larger city that might have higher volume, and your status on that app. So your ratings and you know what tier you're in, all of that. Now, starting with Expedite. This could be because I've been on Expedite for since 2023. But in my experience, I would say Expedite has a pretty good order volume. So when you first start out, you are going to get some of those smaller orders. You're not going to get the big payouts that are paying you $100, $200, nothing like that, right? You're going to start small. Once you kind of get past that tutorial phase, I would say between 5 to 10 deliveries, it's gonna take off. I'm not gonna lie, because after I finished my first set of orders and I got my delivery bags, man, when I tell you that order volume, it took off. So Expedite, they definitely do right by their drivers. You know, they make sure you have a good enough order volume. Even though I only have one emerald technically in this app, because I'm in such a high volume area, I can still get access to these high payouts. Like literally, I would say what 3 out of my last 5 deliveries I did on Expedite, those were over $100, over $100. So it's definitely possible. Like I said, if the volume is there. Now, if you live in a smaller market, you might not have the same level of success, but if you have the opportunity to, I would say try to get as close to the big cities as possible. So if you're like on the outskirts, you know, 30, 20 miles away, you know, see if you can get closer, because you're gonna have a lot more access. You know, increase that radius of what your preferred area is. So play with that a little bit and see what you're able to go ahead and get. Now, as far as DeliverThat, I'm not gonna lie, I've seen a lot of things kind of go downhill with them for the past, I don't even want to say 6 months. I would say even beyond that. Probably almost a year now, since they got rid of tip pool. I think has it been a year since they got rid of tip pool? I think we're coming up on a year, if not already. And we'll talk about that too. But I'm not gonna lie, like the order availability, it can be there, but the quality of the orders is another thing. So yeah, they aren't looking too good in that aspect. One thing I have noticed, and I'm not gonna go ahead and speculate or anything, but I'm just going based off of what I see. You know, ever since they got that Potbelly deal, I see probably 80% Potbelly, and I'm seeing a couple of other direct orders. I've seen maybe 4 or 5 Olo orders in the last, couple of weeks. I'm not seeing Easy Cater, and I don't know, like I said, I'm not trying to speculate. I'm not seeing Easy Cater on here like I used to. Easy Cater has a very, very large pool of restaurants. So if they're not getting those, that's a lot of that order volume is not going to be there. So DeliverThat, as of recent, I'm not gonna lie, it's just not there. It's not there, at least for me in my market. For somebody else, y'all might be doing good, but for me, it's just not there. If it is there, sometimes I'll wake up and I'll see like 15 orders on the board, but none of them are worth taking. And like I said, we'll get into that with the pay. Now, Zifty, on the other hand, for me, Zifty is like a rabbit on steroids, okay? Because I get notification after notification. Matter of fact, I just got one right now. Like, I get a lot. I get a lot of orders from Zifty. And there's some decent orders, okay? I honestly will compare Zifty's order volume to Expedite. But the reason Expedite's is so toned down is because I have my preferred area. Zifty is literally Expedite, like I said, on steroids, because they're sending you everything. I'm getting sent stuff downtown. I'm getting sent stuff up north, out west, furthest. I'm getting stuff sent to me from all over the place. I have opportunity there. I definitely have a lot of opportunity. Now, one thing I will note with Zifty, and this is the same thing with DeliverThat as well, and I don't know if I mentioned this earlier or not. Zifty and DeliverThat, their primary focus is first come, first serve. They do have exclusive orders that will be sent exclusively to you, and you do have an opportunity to accept those. But a majority of the orders are just gonna be blasted out, and whoever grabs it first is gonna be the person who gets it. Expedite is primarily focused on more exclusive orders being sent directly to the driver, and that open order board that we mentioned earlier, that comes secondary. So just wanted to point that out. But yeah, order volume, it's definitely there for Zifty. Definitely there for Zifty. Now, everyone's favorite part, the pay. So Expedite, I don't know if it's because I'm biased, because Expedite is probably my favorite app, but I feel like they got it right by not paying drivers no less than $20 per order. Doesn't matter how small the order is. It doesn't matter if they didn't tip. They cover that. They make sure you are paid a minimum of $20 per order. So they definitely have the drivers in mind when it comes to the pay. Now, I might be kind of biased, but like I said, it's just little things like that that just make me love that app, okay? So pay, like I said, minimum 20. On average, I would say 30-ish bucks. I would say 30 to 35. That's going to be the average that you're going to see per order. And some of the orders, you, like I said earlier, you know, you can get $100 payouts. And if it's a large enough order, sometimes they will split the order. And this is across all the apps as well. So if you see an order that gets sent to you that's like $3,000, payouts like $350, you know, depending on the restaurant, they might just keep you as a sole driver, confirm that you have all the equipment, and they'll just let you do the order by yourself. If not, they'll go ahead and split it with another driver and you split that payout. So, but the payouts for these, they can get up there. Like I said, the highest one I got on here was, I think, 160 something so far. Now, DeliverThat, I'm trying to keep this as short as possible. But as you guys saw in that screen share, some of these offers, we're talking single digits. Personally, I don't think a catering order should be less than 20, and like I said, it could just be because I'm spoiled from Expedite. For the size of some of these orders, for the amount of work that you have to do, you know, this isn't just a basic like, oh, I'm picking up a Big Mac and some fries and a drink, you know, here's $7. No, most of the time these are like $100, $200 worth of food. Sometimes I see a couple orders that are under 100, but it's still considered catering. Catering, I don't think should pay less than, you know, but topic for another day. Okay, their payouts are not the best. The lowest I think I've seen was like $7 and some change. I don't know if they've gone any lower than that ever since they got rid of the tip pool. And just a quick breakdown of what tip pool was, because everybody hated tip pool. So any easy cater order that came in through DeliverThat, they would take the tip from all of those orders and put them into a pool, and they would divide it up evenly amongst all of the drivers, so everybody got the same amount for the tip. So it didn't matter if you took an order where the person tipped $150 or if you took an order where they didn't tip at all. You both will receive the same tip. And it was usually around like 20, they gave like a range. I think it was like between 24 to 28 or $29 or something. So imagine you potentially could have gotten a $150 tip, but instead you got $28. And that's why a lot of people disliked it. Personally, I felt like it had its pros and cons, but people hated it. So ever since we got rid of tip pool, you know, the true colors started to come, right? And you see a lot of people that did not tip. You had a lot of orders, $500, $600, $700 worth of food, no gratuity. You're just getting the base pay commission. And that was like 10, 11, 13 bucks. Imagine delivering $700 worth of food and you only getting paid like 10, 11, 12 bucks. It don't make sense. So yes, DeliverThat unfortunately is on the lower end when it comes to the pay, because unfortunately a lot of the orders do not have a tip. Now you can argue if they're pocketing the tip, you can argue if the restaurants are pocketing the tip. We don't know. But all we know is that it just ain't there. Okay, it's just not there. So pay, again, with all catering apps, they can get up there. If you got that order and they tipped you $150, guess what? You got the $150 if they aren't taking it for themselves. But if it's displaying on the app, you're getting that $150. But you have a very extreme case of $150, $200 payout, $7. It's a very extreme, just, you get it. So now Zifty, if I remember correctly, I don't recall seeing a minimum payout that they listed. And correct me if I'm wrong, because I think I did see a couple orders under 20 bucks, maybe like 18, 19 bucks. But based off of what I'm seeing, I'm usually seeing most orders that are about 30 to 35 bucks. So pretty much on par with Expedite. Again, some are lower, some are a lot higher. The highest one that I've seen on Zifty so far was actually like a $250 payout that unfortunately I wasn't able to take. But yeah, they can get up there. They can get up there. So, but pretty much the same thing like I mentioned with Expedite. I would say it's a pretty good range. And yeah, so with all that being said, if I had to go ahead and rate these apps, y'all, I think you can tell where I'm putting what. So obviously DeliverThat is gonna be at the bottom as of right now, you know, maybe things change in the future, I don't know. That pay is going to be the main thing, and then just the fact that they have the hidden metrics. There's a lot of other things in the back end that I just don't like what they're doing, so we're going to go ahead and put them at the bottom. Second place, I'm going to go ahead and give Zifty the second place, primarily because, one, for me, it's still new. I have had the app downloaded for like 2 years, but I just recently started doing Zifty, and there are a couple things that I like that Zifty does that I wish Expedite does, and vice versa. But if I wanted to compare the two based off of my experience with both, I'm gonna go ahead and put Zifty at number 2, and of course Expedite is gonna be number 1. Personally, I just feel like they have a lot more things that are more driver friendly in comparison to the other two, and it's just an overall just clean app. You know, like I said, there are different features that I love that they added, you know, choosing your preferred area, making sure that you're not getting paid less than $20. You know, it's just little things like that. You know, those things add up. So personally, I would say my Expedite experience has been better in comparison to the other two apps. Yeah, but that's pretty much it, guys. So there are a couple of other things that I kind of wanted to touch on, but I didn't want to drag this video out too long. It's probably already longer than I really wanted it to be. If there are any other things that you guys would like me to discuss in regards to these apps, if you want me to compare, or if you guys just want to go ahead and leave me your thoughts on these apps, which app do you prefer? Which one is your favorite? So just let me know in the comments. Now, before I go, I have to remind you guys to leave a like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you do not miss a video. But I'm gonna go ahead and get up out of here, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'm gonna catch you guys on the next one, and as always, stay safe out there and keep grinding.